Chapter 1 Prologue. When I was very young, I imagined what the future would look like. Robots would do all the work and humans would enjoy a leisurely lifestyle. With advancements in technology, there would be no limitations of space, and all climate and environmental issues would be resolved. Cars will fly in the sky. As time passed and I became an adult, I arrived at the future I had envisioned as a child. However, not much had changed. Robots did work, but humans worked harder than ever. Technology had advanced, but global warming and fine dust pollution had worsened. And cars still drove on the ground. In hindsight, it was inevitable. The past had already gone and the future had yet to come. Therefore, we could only make predictions based on past experiences. There was no way to see a future that had not yet arrived. But what if someone could see the future? What would that person be able to do? Winter, age 22. The long military service had finally come to an end. Salute. Sergeant Kong Jin, who has been discharged. Reporting accordingly. After completing my discharge report to the battalion commander, the reality of my discharge finally set in. Officers and fellow soldiers followed me to the guard post to send me off. The company commander patted me on the shoulder and said, "You worked hard. Stay healthy out in society just like you are now." Yes. Healthy my foot. My once healthy body broke down here. I took the bus home. While I was in the military, my home changed several times. The current home is a semi-basement studio in Huxik-dong, with a deposit of 5 million won and a monthly rent of 400,000 won. Going down the stairs and opening the front door, I was immediately hit by the damp, musty smell. I opened the window to ventilate the room. I wondered who could live in such a place, and it turned out that it was me. Compared to this, maybe the barracks weren't so bad. I put down my belongings and looked around. In one corner of the kitchen, there was a small folding table with a tablecloth on top. I opened the tablecloth. Underneath were some covered dishes, 5 10,000 won bills and a cell phone. There was also a note on top of them. "Strong, congratulations on your discharge, my son. Strong, mom's going to work, so eat and rest. Strong, I'm leaving you some pocket money, so meet up with friends if you like. Strong, see you tonight. Strong, love mom dash." So she went to work today too. I heard a few months ago that she got a job through an acquaintance at the customer consulting center in Gangnam's Lotte department store. She couldn't take the day off, even on the day her son was discharged. I sat on the floor and ate the cold rice and lukewarm soup. When I was young, my family lived in a 2-story detached house, and on weekends we would enjoy dining out in a luxury sedan. We weren't extremely wealthy, but we lived comfortably without envy. My father was the president of a company, a small factory with about 10 employees. He had built the business with his own hands over a lifetime. He wanted me to take over the family business, so I enrolled in the business administration department at Korea University. I had planned to help expand the company after graduation. Everything changed around the end of my first year. The primary client company suddenly canceled the supply contract, putting my father's company in jeopardy. My father, along with his employees, tirelessly tried everything to save the company. Growing a company is hard, but seeing it fail happens in the blink of an eye. On the day the final bankruptcy was declared, my father collapsed on the spot due to a stroke. I used to think it was just something that happened to others when I saw families suddenly fall apart in dramas or movies. I never imagined it would happen to us. With the bankruptcy of the company and my father's illness, I lost track of how time passed afterwards. Our house and car were auctioned off one after the other. Despite multiple surgeries, my father never recovered and passed away in the hospital. In a situation where we had to worry about daily expenses, finding tuition money was out of the question. In such times, a man has two choices. One option was studying abroad and the other was the military. For me, who had no money and wasn't prepared, studying abroad was out of the question. However, the South Korean military accepts anyone as long as they are physically fit, regardless of financial status or preparedness. So, I took a leave of absence and enlisted in the military. After finishing my meal, I did the dishes and then sprawled out in my room. The cold from the floor seeped into my back. Excluding the bathroom, kitchen, and a few pieces of furniture, the empty space in the one-room apartment wasn't even 3 pyeong, about 10 square meters. Living in this cramped space with my mother makes my heart heavy. Honestly, I felt more at ease when I was in the military. They provided food and shelter, and even though it was a small amount, they gave a monthly salary. However, now that I've been discharged, I feel completely lost. I can't keep asking for allowance at my age. First, I need to earn some money. I turned on my phone and called Min Young, a friend from my major. Asterisk beep. Click. Asif. Hello. Who is this? Min Young? It's Jean Hu. The voice on the other end turned cheerful. Wow. Long time no see. Are you on leave? No, I was discharged today. Congratulations. I got straight to the point. Can you help me find a tutoring job? Among student part-time jobs, tutoring is undoubtedly the best paying one. The problem is that the competition is fierce, making it hard to find a position without connections. Finding one is a challenge in itself. Because being in the military, my brain has completely reset. I've forgotten everything I learned in elementary, middle, and high school, to the point where I need tutoring myself. Nevertheless, Korea University is the top prestigious university in Korea. Regardless of teaching skills, the name itself holds value. In Korea, the name is more crucial than actual skills. Once I secure a position, won't things work out somehow? Well, it's a recession here these days too. Please check it out for me. I really need your help. Got it. Let's have a drink to celebrate your discharge soon. Okay. After ending the call, I let out a sigh. Sigh. Should I work part-time at a convenience store or PC room until I find a tutoring job? While checking my phone, I noticed dozens of missed calls from the same number. Taekyu, whom I first met in middle school, was my closest friend. Since his parents both worked, he used to come over to my house to play or stay over often. Why did this guy call so much? Ring. I made a call. Hey, Taekyu. He spoke as if he had been waiting. Finally, I reached you. Did you get discharged? How did you get this number? Your mom told me. Really? It seems my mom gave Taekyu my number when she set up my phone. More importantly, something big had happened right now. The voice from the other end of the phone sounded grave. Just hearing it, I could tell something had happened. Was it something bad? What happened? Do you remember I received Bantcoin back then? In middle school, Taekyu sold off his character, equipment, and gold when he quit the MRB Lutnia, which was popular at the time. However, the online game item trading site he usually used suddenly started regulating transactions, so some users resorted to using virtual currency that circulated only on the internet to avoid the regulations. That currency was Bantcoin. According to Taekyu, Bantcoin has no managing entity. Issuance and transactions occur through a P2P network, beyond the control of any individual or organization. Bantcoin can be divided up to 9 decimal places, usually denoted as BNT. Even though he had explained it to me a few times, it wasn't an easy concept to grasp. Anyway, at that time, Taekyu received 11,000 BNTs. Back then, 10,000 BNT was worth about $90, just over 100,000 won. However, when we were about to become high school students, the value of Bantcoin suddenly skyrocketed. 100 BNT approached $500, and the Bantcoin that was worth just 100,000 won became worth 50 million won. Thinking he had struck it rich, Taekyu tried to cash out his Bantcoin for 50 million won. But there was a problem. Ridiculously, he had lost the cryptographic key needed to access his Bantcoin account. To put it in perspective, it was like having money in a bank but losing the account number and password. In a bank, you can retrieve your account with just your name and social security number, but with Bantcoin, nothing can be retrieved without the cryptographic key. My 50 million won. My money. He lamented that it was as good as throwing a winning lottery ticket into the trash and cried for several days. After that, he completely lost interest in Bantcoin. He used to freak out at the mere mention of Bantcoin, so why is he suddenly bringing it up? Listen without freaking out. What is it? I found the cryptographic key. What? He explained to my shocked self. A few days ago, while cleaning his figure display case, he found a USB that had fallen behind it. Curious if it contained any important data, he dusted it off and plugged it into his computer. It turned out that it contained the cryptographic key for his Bantcoin account. I was astonished. Really? You're not joking. It's true. Isn't that amazing? It should have been a moment for cheering out of joy, but Taekyu seemed more shocked than happy. What's the current value of Bantcoin? Hasn't it gone up since then? As of yesterday, it's $1,120. $1,120 is roughly 1.23 million won. If 100 BNT is worth $1,120, That's more than double compared to back then. It was 50 million won then, so, whoa. That means 100 million won. Taikyu replied to my surprise. It's 1 BNT. Huh. It's not 100 BNT but 1 BNT, that's $1,120. I was at a loss for words. After a moment of regaining my composure, I spoke. Don't kid around. If you don't believe me, I'll send it to you. See for yourself. Ding. I took the phone away from my ear and checked the message. There was a chart showing the rising graph and the price of Bantacoin. As of yesterday, it was exactly $1,122. I put the phone back to my ear. You had 11,000 BNT, so... Wait. As I roughly did the math, my mouth hung open. No way. Oh, $135 million? I don't know if I'm dreaming or what. I've listed it on the exchange right now. At that moment, something appeared in front of my eyes like a hologram. Why am I seeing this? What is Strong Mountain Hill? Feeling a sudden sense of urgency, I asked hastily. Which exchange? Where? Tell me quickly. The response came. It's a place called Mountain Hill. What? I shouted at him. Sell it right now. Taikyu seemed bewildered by my words. Why are you doing this? What's the reason? It's natural for him to react this way. It's even stranger to suddenly tell him to sell it and have him say, yes. Got it. I'll sell it right away. I don't know why I'm saying this either. But it went beyond just a feeling. There was a strong sense of certainty. Sometimes instinct takes precedence over reason. If I hadn't done this back then, I wouldn't be here now. Listen to me. So why? Do you trust me? Why? Do you need a guarantee? I shouted in frustration. Shut up and just sell it. It's not like you'll lose anything by selling it. Turn it into cash immediately. No, you have to give me a reason to understand. How do I explain this? Instead, I took a different approach. Remember when you were practicing driving and broke Hyunju's side mirror? You were scared she'd kill you if she found out, so I took the blame and said I did it. I begged her for forgiveness on your behalf. Taikyu was flustered. Why are you bringing that up all of a sudden, you crazy idiot? Do you remember that in return, you promised to grant me one wish? You bastard. Now's the time to make that wish come true, pal. Sell your Bancoin right now. Got it. There was silence on the other end for a while. You might be wondering why I'm bringing up old stories. I'd prefer if you didn't ask any more questions and just followed my advice. After a long pause, Taikyu grumbled in surrender. Hey. I was planning to sell anyway, so I had my sister set up a dollar account. I was going to sell gradually, but I'll do it right now as you said. Satisfied. I sighed in relief internally. Smart move. When should we meet? Let's meet tomorrow. I'll come to your place. Got it. I hung up the phone. The hologram that had been floating in front of me had long disappeared. I wondered if I had seen it wrong. Could it really align just like that again? No way. Even if nothing happens, there's no harm in selling it. I might feel a bit bitter if the Bancoin price soars later. It's just a shame I used up one of my precious wishes like this. 13.6 billion. What was the top prize for the lottery these days? 2 billion. This is like hitting the jackpot several times over. Such luck would never happen in reality. Especially to someone like Taikyu. Suddenly, I recalled something from the past. Back when we were in high school, he once lied to me that he had won the lottery. Believing him, I even took a taxi together to the NH Bank's main branch. Just before we entered, I remember him looking at me and laughing gleefully. Could that bastard have been lying? Did I get fooled again? Asterisk, 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 asterisk. As I was lying down, the sun had already set before I realized it. Creak. I heard the front door open. My mother came inside and greeted me warmly. You were home, son. You're back. It had been a week since I last saw her during my final leave from the military. My mother put down her bag and said, "Let's go out to eat to celebrate your discharge." Okay. I got dressed and went outside with my mother. What do you want to eat, son? Want some meat? Anything is fine, really. We entered a nearby pork ribs restaurant. My mother picked up the tongs and scissors and started grilling the meat. Her hands holding the tongs were rough and calloused. I saw my mother's face. Looking closely, I noticed her eyes and mouth were filled with fine wrinkles. She looked much thinner compared to the last time I saw her. After my father passed away, my mother became the breadwinner. Unlike me, who was relatively comfortable in the military, my mother worked tirelessly at any job she could find. My mother spent her whole life managing the household. It was obvious what kind of work a middle-aged woman without skills or experience could do. "Aren't you going to eat?" "Oh, I'm about to start." For a moment I felt choked up. I quickly bowed my head, pretending to eat. "Is your current job not too hard?" "Not at all. It's just sitting and talking with customers anyway." "What about troublesome customers? I hear there are a lot of them these days." My mother smiled and said, "It's a well-off neighborhood, so there aren't any like that. Everyone is so kind and nice. Do you think finding such a comfortable job is easy?" "That's a relief." The cooked meat piled up high in front of me. "Don't just grill, have some too." "I had lots of delicious food at the department store, so you go ahead and eat." I forced myself to chew and swallow the meat that wouldn't go down easily. "By the way, when are you planning to go back to school?" "I have some time, so I'll think about it. Mom has already got the tuition money ready, so don't worry. Korea University is a national university, so the tuition is cheaper compared to private universities. Even so, it's a substantial amount for an ordinary family. It seems that you have saved up the tuition fees from your limited household budget." "All right. Asterisk 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 asterisk." I spread a blanket on the narrow floor and lay down next to my mother. She fell asleep as soon as she lay down, probably because she was tired. In the darkness, I could occasionally hear her coughing. Was it because of the change in sleeping arrangements? I couldn't fall asleep easily. After trying to force myself to sleep for a long time, I eventually gave up and sat up. When I checked my phone, it was 3 a.m. Should I go to the convenience store and have a beer? I carefully went outside, trying not to wake my mother. The night air felt cold on my face. Sigh. I thought everything would work out once I got out into society. But now that I've finished my service, the future seems bleak. I can't let my mother work alone, so I need to start earning money quickly. As I walked to the convenience store with these thoughts, my phone rang. Beep beep. Who would call at this hour? "Who is take you?" I answered the call. "Hey, why are you calling at this hour?" Before I could finish my sentence, an urgent voice interrupted me. "Something serious has happened. Don't be ridiculous. Are you joking again? The Mountain Hill Exchange just got shut down." I replied calmly. "Stop joking around, I'm serious." Then Take You shouted furiously. "Does this look like a joke to you? Then is it not? Where are you right now?" "At home." "Come to my house right now. See for yourself if it's a joke or not." With that, Take You hung up the phone. Wait a second. Could it actually be true? I hurried out to the main street and waved down a taxi. "Taxi." As the taxi stopped, I quickly got in. "Please go to Gangnam. Hurry." Asterisk 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 asterisk. Take You lived in a one-room apartment in Yeoksamdong. I had visited so often during my leave that I even memorized the door code. As I opened the front door and stepped inside, the floor was littered with game magazines and comic books, and anime posters adorned the walls. On the desk, the cables of a computer and a gaming console were tangled messily, and sitting in front of it was one man. He was in his early 20s with a chubby build, a short military-style haircut, and thick horn-rimmed glasses that made his eyes seem small. He looked utterly dazed. "Hey, what the hell is going on?" Instead of answering, Take You pointed at the computer monitor. An internet forum window was open. "Strong. All my Bant coins registered with Mountain Hill have been withdrawn." "Strong, same here. 150.387 BNT disappeared." "Strong. That's my entire fortune, sob." "Strong. What's going on?" "Strong. Give me back my money." "Strong. The exchange is inaccessible and they're not answering their phones." "Strong. It's on the news right now. CNN says Mountain Hill has shut down due to hacking." "Strong. Hackers have raided the exchange and stole all the Bant coins." "Strong. So what happens now? Does Mountain Hill compensate us?" "Strong. No way, those bastards." I continued to read the flood of posts. People were furious, despondent, crying, cursing, talking about dying and more. The bulletin board was nothing short of chaos. What on earth? I looked at Take You and said, "Hey, explain this to me." "I told you. Mountain Hill has been shut down." The exchange had been closed by the time Take-You called me. An exchange that usually opened just fine suddenly became inaccessible. If that was all, I might have thought it was just under temporary maintenance. But all the Bant coins disappeared from the accounts registered on the exchange. It was as if they were wiped out without the users even knowing, like voice phishing. And it wasn't just one or two people. All Mountain Hill Exchange users experienced the same thing. So everything Take-You said earlier today was true? The first thing that came to mind was the 11,000 BNT that Take-You had. What happened to you? Did you lose everything too? Take-You sat there still dazed, not reacting to my words. A sense of dread trickled down my spine. I shook Take-You's shoulder and shouted. Hey. Oh, Take-You. Take-You looked at me with unfocused eyes and stammered. I sold it all earlier. When you told me to. Around midnight. Ha. For a moment, it felt like all the strength drained out of my legs. At least you salvaged something. Thinking that Take-You suddenly grabbed my shoulder. You didn't know about this, did you? Know about what? When I had just been promoted to private first class. Our unit was conducting mortar firing training under the command of the division commander. Boom. Boom. With a thunderous noise, the shells were fired and landed at the target. Sergeant Kim Jae-hak, who was the gunner, loaded the shell into the mortar tube with practiced motions. But at that moment, something like a hologram appeared in front of my eyes. At first I wondered what it was. What is this? Why is something like this appearing before my eyes? KM-188 was the name of a new mortar that had been recently supplied. And that mortar was right in front of me. Even now I don't know why, but I reflexively dropped to the ground and shouted. Get down. That split-second decision saved my life. Boom. An explosion resounded. Then screams and cries followed. Aff. My leg. The shell did not fire and exploded inside. The barrel burst open and Sergeant Kim Jae-hak was hit by shrapnel and fell. One person lost their life and another was seriously injured because of that accident. I, who quickly dropped to the ground, was more or less okay except for not being able to hear well for a while. I wasn't hurt, but I stayed in the military hospital for a month. I didn't tell my mother on purpose because I didn't want her to worry. But I told Take-You and he came to visit me in the military hospital right away. And NBV. Asterisk. And NBV. Why didn't you say anything back then? Would you have believed me if I had? True. Because of that incident I suffered from tinnitus for a while, perhaps due to some damage to my eardrums. Later, when I came to my senses, I thought it might have been a misunderstanding. Till/n, tinnitus mean hearing noises. So I forgot about it for a while. But then while talking to you on the phone it suddenly came to mind. The hologram? Yes. If I hadn't ducked when that thing appeared before my eyes, I might have been seriously injured or even killed. The reason I'm here safe and sound now is because of that. So when I saw Strong Mountain Hill's bankruptcy, I immediately told you to sell. I thought it could happen. Take-You still looked incredulous. Even from my perspective, the story doesn't logically make sense. If I were in his shoes hearing this, I wouldn't have believed it either. Does this even make sense? Whether it makes sense or not, we avoided losing everything, didn't we? If we had been a few hours late in selling, we would have lost all the Bant coins. If you think about it that way, doesn't that make me a lifesaver? What kind of superpower is this? First, I had similar thoughts too. I wondered if somehow I had gained some sort of ability, if not superpowers. But superpowers don't exist in reality. Maybe it's just intuition. Like when someone feels uneasy before a flight and decides not to board, only to find out the plane crashed. Take-You thought for a while and then asked me, but are you sure you can tell me this? This is something that shouldn't be revealed. Who would believe something like this anyway? When I told the doctor that I saw a message warning of an imminent explosion, he wasn't shocked at all. Instead, he said the shock might have caused memory confusion and prescribed medication. If I had the ability to move objects without touching them, I would have hidden it thoroughly. Such things can be objectively verified. Just to be sure, I asked people who were at the scene of the artillery incident if they saw the hologram. Of course, no one saw it. In other words, this is a kind of cerebral delusion that only I can see. There must be at least 1 million people out there claiming they have superpowers. People with all sorts of unbelievable superpowers appear daily on TV or the internet. In this situation, who would care if I yelled that I can see holograms in front of me? Well, even if that's the case, there's no need to announce it. I told you because it's you. Don't tell anyone else. He nodded with a serious expression. Got it. I'll keep my mouth shut. Even though he talks a lot, he's good at keeping secrets. I asked Taekyu. How much did you make? See for yourself. Taekyu opened his bank account on the computer and showed it to me. Strong. 12,387,000. This isn't a huge amount of money. Anyone can earn this if they work hard for a year. But the story changes if the unit is in dollars instead of won. Is it about $13.6 million? Unbelievable things happen in this world. Is this an American account? Yeah. Have you ever heard of Della Island? What's that? It's located in the eastern part of the Caribbean Sea. Della Island, a U.S. territory, has a population of just 20,000 and relies on sugarcane cultivation and tourism for its livelihood. Most people have never heard of this place. But among wealthy entrepreneurs, everyone knows it. The reason is not because of its natural environment that is worth visiting once in a lifetime, but because it's a tax haven. Taekyu scratched his head and said, after finding the encryption key and trying to sell it, I found out that this is entangled in complicated tax issues. Cryptocurrency has been around for less than 10 years. The concept is not yet solidified, and there are no unified international regulations. If Bitcoin is classified as currency, then Taekyu simply makes a profit from exchange rate gains and doesn't need to pay tax. However, if it's classified as a commodity, it incurs income tax. Domestic tax authorities have decided to classify Bitcoin as a commodity and plan to tax it. This could mean having to pay tens of billions in taxes. Taekyu's sister, after hearing this story, suggested one method. That method is to establish a corporation in Della Island. By setting up a corporation in a tax haven and directing the profits there, they can avoid taxes. So, I created a company called Strong OTK Company in Della Island. Is OTK short for otaku? It's short for Otaku. Although it's called a company, it's essentially a paper company. Isn't that illegal? Taekyu shook his head in response to my question. Strictly speaking, it's not illegal. According to the law, anyone has the right to establish a corporation wherever they wish. Even global companies set up corporations in tax havens to avoid paying taxes. American companies like Apple, Google, Nike, and Microsoft do the same if you look closely. Isn't it at least a loophole even if it's not illegal? Well, if I could avoid tens of billions in taxes, I would do the same. I looked at the account again. Even as I stared at it, the amount seemed unreal. This is incredible. From now on we can just relax and enjoy life. But hasn't Taekyu already been relaxing and enjoying life quite diligently? I crossed my arms and got lost in thought. What's up? Nothing, it just feels like I'm forgetting something important related to this. It's on the tip of my tongue. Taekyu nodded quickly, looking surprised. Same here. I've had the feeling that something was missing for a few days now. What could it be? I mentally retraced my steps into the past. After thinking for a while, I finally remembered something we'd overlooked. Wait a minute. Didn't you also sell my character back then? Taekyu shouted in realization at my words. Oh right. I remember now. I sold my character for 10,000 and yours for 1,000, didn't I? Back then it was such a negligible amount that we didn't care much. Then Bitcoin shot up to 50 million won, and when Taekyu lost the encryption key and couldn't access the money, we ended up grabbing each other by the collar in disputes over the money. In the end, I managed to get meals for a whole month to settle things. I quickly did the math in my head. Out of 11,000 BNT, 1,000 BNT is my share, which is roughly 9.1%. 9.1% of 13.6 billion won is approximately 1.24 billion won. I reached out my hand to Taekyu. Give me my money. He stood there dazed for a moment, then stammered. I will. One day after discharge. Suddenly I had 1.24 billion won. And NBV. Asterisk. And NBV. Warning broke. I went to the bank and inserted my card into the ATM. When I entered my PIN, my account balance was displayed. Strong. 500 million. All right. I pumped my fist in excitement. I already knew the deposit had been made. But seeing it with my own eyes felt completely different. The magnitude of the billions didn't seem real. How many zeros is that? It was hard to wrap my head around it. I had saved up to 3 million won from pocket money and tutoring, but I had never seen such a large sum before. Originally, I was supposed to receive 1.24 billion won. However, there's an issue with receiving this money. What Taekyu is giving me is a form of gift. It wouldn't be a problem if the money was in a tax haven, but as soon as it comes to Korea, I'll have to pay taxes on it. At least up to 500 million won is taxed at 20%, but the rate goes up progressively as the amount increases. To avoid taxes, I could set up a corporation in a tax haven like Taekyu, but I need money that I can use immediately in Korea. So, I decided to take 500 million won first and look for other ways to handle the remaining 740 million won. Surely this couldn't just be a dream I had while in the army, right? Somehow it feels like the spinning top would just keep spinning. I decided to withdraw 1 million won first. The ATM quickly dispensed 50,000 won bills. My balance decreased to 499 million won. Seeing the money come out, I realized it's actually real. I quickly stashed the 1 million won into my wallet, afraid someone might see it. Feels like my life has changed overnight. Stepping outside, the intense sunlight poured over my head. The world suddenly looked different. Even the cold of midwinter felt warm. Maybe it's not that my body was cold all this time, but my heart was cold. I stopped and looked at my reflection in the building's glass. A stretched-out t-shirt, faded jeans, and a worn-out padded jacket. I was still wearing the clothes I bought before going to the military. If I put it nicely, it's a vintage or thrift shop style. But no matter how nicely I say it, it just looks like a shabby style. My outfit screamed poverty. I guess I should buy some clothes first. At this time, my mother would be working at the department store, right? I should buy some clothes and visit my mother too. I started walking towards the Lotte department store in Gangnam. Strongtel/N. Otaku in Japan. A young person who is obsessed with computers or particular aspects of popular culture to the detriment of their social skills. Della Island doesn't exist, and NBC. Strong, a tax haven is any location with lenient or non-existent tax laws. Some of the top tax haven islands are British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Bermuda, the Netherlands, Switzerland. Other tax haven islands include Dominica and the Bahamas. Paper company means any company that has no operations, but has a proper constitution, fully formed legal documents, little to zero assets, and is registered. An office employee, Lee Se-yeon. Today she was in a terrible mood. She had stayed out drinking late with friends last night and ended up being late for work. Her manager, shouting for what seemed like the nth time about her tardiness, told her to quit if she was going to keep this up. All that commotion over being just an hour late. No wonder he's stuck as a perpetual manager at his age. While everyone else went out for lunch, her steps took her to the department store. There's nothing like shopping to change her mood. She thought buying something might cheer her up. As she entered, luxury French brands like Chanel, Prada, and Louis Vuitton were lined up on the first floor. She wished she could walk in and boldly buy a bag, but her credit limit wouldn't allow it. She had already used 8 million won through cash services and revolving credit. She had less than 1 million won left to spend, so she needed to shop frugally within that limit. Lee Se-yeon headed to the MPM store, a mid-range luxury brand she frequented. This was her 5th visit just this month. Because of this, she was already treated as a regular there. Thinking about the VIP treatment she'd receive from the manager and staff lifted her spirits. On the way to the MPM store entrance, she saw a mess on the floor where someone had spilled coffee. A cleaner was diligently mopping it up. She tried to walk past without paying attention, but the mop lightly brushed against her shoe. It was a pair she had splurged on just a few days ago during a sale, now dirted by a mop cleaning the floor. Horrified, she yelled out, "Ma'am, what do you think you're doing?" The cleaner bowed her head. "Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am." "Is sorry enough? Do you know what shoes these are?" "I'll clean them for you, ma'am." The cleaner tried to wipe the shoe with a handkerchief pulled from her pocket, bowing as she did so. "Don't touch them with your filthy hands. Keep them away right now." "I'm sorry." As the commotion grew, a young woman in a suit rushed over. A name tag on her outfit read, "Manager Woo Miran." "What seems to be the problem, ma'am?" the manager asked. Se-yeon, on the verge of tears, replied, "Can't you see? This lady dirted my shoes with her mop. What are you going to do about it?" The cleaning lady clasped her hands and repeatedly bowed her head. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm very sorry. Is that the attitude of someone who's sorry? Kneeling and begging wouldn't be enough. The manager looked at the cleaning lady and said, "What are you doing, lady? If you're in the wrong, kneel and apologize to the customer right now." Why, yes. The middle-aged cleaning lady glanced around nervously. But there was no one there to support her. "Do you know how much these shoes cost? Are you going to pay for them?" She lived hand to mouth. There was no way she could afford to replace such expensive shoes. If kneeling and begging would resolve the situation quietly, she had to do it. The cleaning lady started to kneel. But at that moment, smack, someone grasped her shoulder. And NBV. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. And NBV. The janitor looked at me with a surprised expression. "How did you get here?" As I stepped forward, the young woman glanced at me and asked irritably, "Who are you to interfere?" "I'm her son." What did you say?" I glared at the woman and spoke. "I said I'm her son." She fell silent at my words. She likely didn't expect the janitor's son to show up in such a situation. As I entered the department store, I saw a woman who looked to be in her early 20s shouting at the far end near the luxury brand stores, while a middle-aged woman in a janitor's uniform repeatedly bowed her head in apology. At first I intended to just walk by. But the moment I heard the janitor's voice, my feet stopped on their own. It was my mother's voice. I looked at my mother in her janitor's uniform. She briefly avoided my gaze. I had come to this department store with my parents before. It must have been on my mother's birthday. We ate at the food court and shopped together. My father splurged and bought my mother a bag. I also chipped in with my pocket money. Though it wasn't a high-end luxury brand, just a mid-tier brand, my mother was as happy as a child with her gift. She had told me she was working at the customer service center. To avoid worrying her son, it seems she had lied about being a janitor and said she worked at the customer service center. What's the problem here? This woman dirted my shoes with her rag. Is she causing such a scene over something so trivial, forcing her to beg on her knees? Anger surged to the top of my head. I felt like hitting the woman regardless of her being a woman. But I couldn't resort to violence in front of my mother. I clenched my teeth to suppress my anger and asked, "Where exactly did she make them dirty?" "Where?" The black shoes looked spotless. The woman shook her head and said, "Oh, I don't know. Anyway, these shoes are too dirty to wear now, so you need to compensate me. If you don't, I'll post on the department store's bulletin board and report you to the Consumer Protection Agency." The manager standing next to her lowered his head. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We'll take care of it." It's often said that the sister-in-law who stops the fight is more annoying than the mother-in-law who starts it. This was just like that. Both the person causing a scene and the person egging them on were irritating. Seeing the manager's reaction gave the woman more confidence, and she raised her voice again. "Do you have any idea how much these cost?" I immediately asked back. "How much are they?" Proudly she responded, "They cost 600,000 won." Then an employee behind her mumbled in a small voice, "They're on sale for 330,000 won now." "Are they on a 45% sale?" With all the fuss she was making, I thought they were worth millions of won. I took out my wallet. "So 600,000 won should be enough, right?" My mother, watching, was shocked. "Jean, where are you going to get all that money?" "It's okay, Mom." I pulled out 12 50,000 won bills and handed them to the woman. "Here you go. You should have done this from the start." The woman reached out her hand. Just before she could grab the money, I pulled my hand back. "First, apologize." The woman widened her eyes in surprise. "What? If you want the money, apologize first." The woman glared furiously at the 600,000 won in my hand and then at my face. But it seemed that money was more important than her pride. The woman half-heartedly bowed her head toward my mother. "So sorry. I guess I was a bit harsh." It was an apology devoid of sincerity. Still, it was better than nothing. The woman grabbed the money in my hand. But no matter how much she pulled, it didn't come loose. Because I was still gripping it firmly. Annoyed, she said, "What are you doing? Take off your shoes." "What?" I repeated, "Take off your shoes. You said they were too dirty to wear and demanded compensation, right? If I'm giving you money, you should hand over the shoes. Were you planning to keep the shoes and take the money too? What kind of scam is that?" "Ha." The woman looked dumbfounded, but she had no retort. No matter how hard she thought, she couldn't come up with a counterargument. If you're just going to walk away with them, then I'll take it that you're refusing the money. I tried to pull the money away, but this time she didn't let go. She seemed to be torn between the money and her pride. Naturally, taking the money and buying new shoes would be the better deal. Being in a department store, she could easily buy a new pair at any store she wanted. In the end, money won. Oh, for crying out loud. This is absurd. She threw off her shoes. Only then did I release my grip and she took the money. I picked up the shoes and dramatically shoved them into the trash can. Trash like this belongs in the garbage. The woman couldn't say anything to me and yelled at the manager instead. I'm going to report this department store, just so you know. The manager bowed his head. I'm sorry, ma'am. Report it if you want, it's none of my business. The department store will handle it. I spoke to my mother. Let's go, Mom. As I was about to leave with my mother, the woman manager shouted from behind. Where do you think you're going? Do you really think you can come to work tomorrow after this? Unbelievable. I was going to leave quietly, but I can't let this slide. I stopped walking. Then I turned around, grabbed a mop from the floor and approached the manager. She flinched and took a step back. Are you going to hit me? I forcibly handed her the mop. She won't be coming to work ever again, so from now on, clean up yourself. What are you saying? Hey. Ignoring her ranting from behind, I held my mother's hand and left the store. Once outside, my mother, who was dazed and following me, was startled. My goodness. I should go back and apologize. I spoke to my worried mother. You don't have to do this anymore. But... I hugged my mother. Her body felt fragile, as if it would break if I applied too much pressure. I could feel her bones through her shoulders and back. When did she become so thin? To think she cleaned the department store all day with this body. I forced down the tears welling up in my throat. Don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of everything from now on. For a moment my mother looked a bit startled, then she gently patted my back with her slender arm. When did my son grow up so much? I told my mother about what happened yesterday. Her eyes widened as she listened to the story. What exactly is this Bantcoin? Where is it issued? It's a cryptocurrency that's issued only online. So, is it like in-game money? Well, it's easier to understand it that way. Anyway, the 100,000 won worth of Bantcoin I got as a middle schooler has become 13.6 billion won. And my share of that is 1.24 billion won. In terms of return, it's more than 100,000 times the initial amount, but compared to what Takeu earned, it's only 1/10. The reason for the difference is that Takeu's character was high level, while mine was just average. If I had known this would happen, I might have put more effort into leveling up. And NBV. Asterisk. And NBV. Now that I have money, the first thing to do was to find a place to live. I couldn't keep living in the semi-basement with poor ventilation. Not to mention it was small and messy, it was also unhealthy. That's probably why my mother was coughing so often. I tried to find the best house possible, but my mother opposed. You can't just spend recklessly because you suddenly have a lot of money. Eventually, we visited a few real estate agencies and signed a lease for a 120 million won two-room villa. The building was old, but it had just been wallpapered and floored, so the interior was clean. Moving day. We didn't have much stuff, so there was no need to call a moving company. One moving truck was enough. The move was completed quickly. After moving all the stuff, the truck driver left and I started unpacking with my mother. Do you like the new house? Mother smiled and replied. Of course. It has 2 rooms, gets plenty of sunlight, and it's great. I could have bought a better house if I had spent more money. But it was good to see her happy. My mother, who was busily unpacking, suddenly paused. Inside a small box were frames, photo albums, and an old notebook. With each move we made, the houses got smaller. As the space decreased, we had to throw away unused items. Most of my father's things were discarded this way. The items in the box were those my mother couldn't bear to throw away, the keepsakes of my father. She carefully picked up a picture frame. There was a photo from my elementary school days taken in the yard of our home. I was in the center with my mother and father standing on either side, and behind us was a cozy 2-story house. My mother's dream was to live in a detached house. To fulfill that dream, my father purchased land and built the house himself. The house was finished before I was born and I have lived there since birth. Most of our family's memories are associated with that place. My mother stared at the photo in silence for a while. Do you think about Dad sometimes? When I asked, my mother nodded with a bitter expression. Of course. He left after struggling so much. If he were still around, we could have enjoyed days like this together. I turned my gaze back to the photo. There was my father in his younger days. Seeing him after such a long time felt strangely awkward. After a moment, my mother stood up and spoke cheerfully, almost deliberately. I should clean up once more. Jinhoo, why don't you go to your room and tidy up a bit? Okay. Without much stuff, tidying up was quick, and since the house was small, cleaning didn't take long either. Well, I guess that's a plus. Sitting in the living room and looking around, the house seemed quite spacious. But this was merely an illusion caused by the lack of belongings. We needed to buy a washing machine, refrigerator, dining table, and bed, all brand new. Why don't you take a break from work for a while? How can I just stay home when I'm in good health? My mother wouldn't listen to reason. Then at least take a 3-month break. Agreed. After much persuasion, my mother reluctantly nodded. All right, son. I'll do that. Although we spent a lot of money getting the house, we still had 375 million won left in the bank, with about 100 million won to be paid in taxes. Additionally, Taekyu still owed us 740 million won. How about a few decades without worries at this rate? While I feel happy, there's also a sense of emptiness. Is making money really this easy? I handed my mother a bank book with 100 million won. Use this money, Mom. Buy whatever you need. I'm fine. I have some savings too. But I'm not fine, so please take it. After finishing everything up and taking a break, Taekyu barged in with tissues and detergent. Here I am, Mother. My mom beamed. Oh, Taekyu, you're here. Taekyu came over so often that my mom treated him like her own son. While I was in the military, Taekyu visited my mom during holidays and birthdays. Have you eaten? Not yet. Moving day calls for jajangmyeon. Let's order it later. Taekyu looked around the house. Is there anything I can help with? I grumbled for no reason. If you wanted to help, you should have come earlier. Came just to eat jajangmyeon. To be fair, there wasn't much left to do even if he had come early. I went into my room with Taekyu. Since I still lacked a desk and chair, we sat on the floor. Have some fruit. Mom left a plate of fruit and walked out of the room. As I speared an apple slice with a fork, I said, I saw the news, Mountain Hill went bust, didn't it? Taekyu nodded. It's a huge mess because of that. Mountain Hill was the world's largest Bitcoin exchange. It was estimated that the damage from the hacking amounted to anywhere between several hundred billion and 1 trillion won. In principle, Mountain Hill had to compensate users for the losses. But how could an exchange afford such a massive payout? In the end, Mountain Hill went bankrupt. So what happens to the users? How did it end up? They just lost money, that's all. If a similar incident had occurred at a bank, the government would have stepped in to devise measures, provide compensation, and punish those involved. However, since there is no managing body for Bitcoin, there was no institution to devise measures or ways to receive compensation. This was a fundamental problem inherent in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. According to Taekyu, there had been several hacking incidents at exchanges before. They just hadn't become big issues because the amounts involved were small compared to the overall trade volume. But this time was different. In terms of damage, this hacking was the largest incident in Bitcoin's history. Days had passed, but nothing had been revealed about who committed the crime. There were just rampant rumors suggesting it was a hacker group affiliated with IS or the International Hacker Organization Anonymous. Bitcoin, which was trading at about $1,120 per 1 BNT, fell below $1,000 as soon as the news of Mountain Hill's closure broke. And within a day, it plummeted more than 20% again, dropping below $800 for 1 BNT. The Korean media even flooded articles worrying about the safety of cryptocurrencies. The fate of cryptocurrency Bitcoin? Bitcoin's problems exposed by Mountain Hill hacking. Future currency Bitcoin. At a crossroads. Bitcoin's credibility back on the chopping block. Growing skepticism about cryptocurrencies. Some financial experts fan the flames, saying, the value the public ascribed to Bitcoin has disappeared. Within a few months, Bitcoin will be treated like monopoly money, board game currency. It looks like it will be cut in half soon. For Taekyu, it was now someone else's problem. He had sold everything off before it happened. No matter how I think about it, it doesn't make sense. Bankruptcy? No. That you predicted it. Just a coincidence. Nothing happens by chance in this world. I think. Taekyu's expression suddenly turned serious. Did he find out something? I listened intently. Jinhoo, you always had superpowers. They just awakened in a crisis situation. That's how superheroes are born. Are you out of your mind? I must be an idiot for expecting something else. But Taekyu remained serious. Think carefully. Definitely. I just had a great idea. What is it? How about calling that powered strong Oracle Eye? Doesn't that sound cool? No, it doesn't. While I shook my head firmly, Taekyu nodded to himself, seemingly satisfied. Oracle Eye is good. I'll call it that from now on. Please don't. Just then Taekyu's phone rang. Ring. Who else calls you besides me? Plenty. The hard-working delivery people and various spam callers. When Taekyu looked at his phone, he was surprised. Gasp. As he answered the phone, his face turned pale. When did you come to Korea? No. I'm busy. Oh, it's not that. Oh, yes. His expression was unusual as he ended the call. Did something happen? I asked Taekyu. Who was that? Taekyu said with a tearful expression. Our sister. Sister Hyunju? Taekyu had a sister who was 10 years older than him. Her name was Oh Hyunju. Unlike Taekyu, who was clearly an otaku, Hyunju worked at an American IB firm called Golden Gate. The reason Taekyu was able to set up a corporation in the tax haven of Dela Island before selling bank coins was thanks to the help of his sister Hyunju. But why do you look like that? She's back in Korea. She says we should come right away. Hyunju usually worked at the Asia branch office in Hong Kong. Because of this, she mostly stayed in Hong Kong and rarely came to Korea. Maybe because of the age difference, Taekyu had been afraid of his sister since he was young. Taekyu grabbed my shoulder and said, You should come with me. Why me? She's just my sister, but to you she's like a senior from the university. Well, she is like that. Hyunju graduated from the economics department of Korea University. Although we were in different departments, she was my senior by 10 years. Hasn't it been a long time since you saw my sister? Thinking about it, the last time we had a meal together was before I went to the military. I nodded. All right. Let's go together. Taekyu beamed at my words. Wise choice. I roughly put on a padded jacket and stood up. I'm just going out with Taekyu for a bit. Mom, I'm heading out. Then his mother asked, When will you be back? What about dinner? It might be late, so please go ahead and eat first. We went down to the first floor. There was a car parked there that I hadn't seen before. Beep. The red compact car lit up and greeted us. It was none other than Taekyu's car. Holding a remote key, Taekyu opened the car door and said, Get in. On the car door was a large sticker of a smiling girl character holding a sword. They say it's a character from a game called Fantasy something. Why would anyone put a character like this on a private vehicle? Can I take this sticker off? No, you can't. I had it shipped from Japan. It was hard to get. Since it's not my car, I can't force him to remove it. Taekyu got in the driver's seat first. I sighed inwardly, opened the door covered in the girl character stickers and got into the car. I feel strangely embarrassed. The red compact car crossed the Dongo Bridge and headed north. Where are we going? The Silent Hotel. The Silent Hotel is a 5-star hotel located at the foot of Namsan Mountain. In the outdoor parking lot, luxury foreign cars were lined up. Among them, there were several supercars classified as Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Taekyu parked the car at the hotel's main entrance. The hotel valet looked back and forth between us and the car, his eyes wide open. It wasn't a look of disdain for riding in a compact car. It was a truly bewildered expression because he had never seen such an otaku car before. He probably never imagined he would see this kind of car while working here. The stares of people passing through the hotel entrance were also directed at us. Even if I had to walk in alone from the outside, should I have done that? Though flustered, the hotel staff politely said, I will park the car for you. Yes. Unlike Taekyu confidently exiting the car, I did my best to hide my face and lower my body as I got out of the car. Why do I feel embarrassed? Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Passing through the giant revolving door, A woman in her early 30s wearing a black high-waisted skirt, a white blouse and black high heels stood inside. She wore silver-framed glasses and had her hair tied back. While not a standout style, she exuded enough charm to be considered a beauty. Taekyu raised his hand towards her. "Hi. Long time no see, Nuna." Checking the watch on her wrist, she remarked, "I told you to be here by 4, but you're 3 minutes late." "Just 3 minutes late. Oops." As Taekyu tried to explain, she shot him a glance, prompting him to quickly close his mouth. She turned her gaze towards me. "So Jinhu came too?" Taekyu nodded. "He kept pestering me to bring him to see you, Nuna." "When did I?" I lowered my head and greeted them. "Long time no see, Nuna. Have you been well all this time?" Hyunju Nuna smiled at me. "So, you've been discharged from the military?" "Yes. It was just a while ago." "You've been through a lot. When will you graduate?" "I went to the military after finishing my first year, so I still have a long way to go." "How about coming to Golden Gate after graduation?" "If they accept me, I'll go there without hesitation. Even if it's considered a prestigious university in Korea, it's rare for someone to land a job at a global investment bank (IB) firm. Golden Gate might only accept 1 student per year across all departments. Maybe even among the entire Golden Gate population, there might be around 20 students from Korea." With Hyunju Nuna, we headed to the cafe on the 2nd floor of the hotel. The cafe had only a few tables occupied near the window, and it was generally quiet. Half of the customers were foreigners, all dressed in neat business attire. Meanwhile, I was wearing jeans, a t-shirt and a padded jacket. Should I have worn a suit or something? Nevertheless, I felt better off than Taekyu in his casual tracksuit. Maybe I'm the only one here dressed like this. Despite not feeling any issues himself, I glanced between Taekyu and Hyunju Nuna. To a stranger they would never think they were siblings. But upon closer inspection they did bear a resemblance in certain aspects. If Taekyu lost some weight, changed his hairstyle and wore proper clothes, he wouldn't look too bad, right? A staff member approached and handed us the menu. Taekyu, after looking at it, was taken aback. "Whoa. A cup of coffee is 25,000 won. Why is it so expensive? Does this make sense?" A guy with over 10 billion won is shivering over a cup of coffee. Well, it must be expensive. Taekyu closed the menu and said to the staff, "I'll just have water." Hyunju grabbed the menu from Taekyu's hand. "Jinhu, do you drink coffee?" "Yes. 2 large coffees and 1 lemonade, please." After the order was placed, I asked Hyunju, "When did you arrive in Korea?" "Just now." Her face didn't look good. She seemed to have a lot of worries and concerns on her face. Hyunju looked at Taekyu and said, "I heard Mountain Hill filed for bankruptcy. Are you okay?" Taekyu grinned. "Luckily, I sold everything right before." "Ah, really?" The unexpected answer surprised Hyunju. "You sold everything?" "Yeah. I put everything in the OTK company account. About $11.9 million. After hearing the amount, Hyunju seemed speechless. Although Taekyu seemed unfazed as a listener, it was a staggering sum. After confirming several times, Hyunju's expression brightened a bit. "Thank goodness. It looks like she's been worrying about it all this time." "You must have been very worried about Taekyu." Hyunju was visibly flustered at my words. What are you talking about? Why would I worry about this otaku?" "Because he's your brother. Isn't it natural for an older sister to worry about her younger brother?" Just then our drinks arrived. Anyway." Hyunju fixed her expression and then handed me a note with something written on it. "What's this?" The note had a name and a phone number written on it. "It's the contact information for the manager of the Golden Gate Gangnam branch. If you need to bring a large sum of money into a domestic account, contact them here to handle it. If you mention that you're Hyunju's brother and a junior at school, they'll know. To transfer money from an overseas corporate account to a Korean account, procedures such as tax reporting are necessary. Can I handle the 500 million won I received over there as well?" Taekyu put the note in his pocket. "But you said you'd sell slowly. Why did you suddenly sell everything overnight?" "I just felt like selling it all of a sudden." He mumbled vaguely and I changed the subject. "Did you come to Korea because of Taekyu by any chance?" Hyunju shook her head decisively as if to prevent any misunderstanding. "Oh no. Absolutely not. I came solely for business reasons." Just like other global investment banks, Golden Gate has branches all over the world. Although South Korea has a significant economic size, it's not a major focus for global investment banks. Therefore, Golden Gate only has a few branches in Korea for securities and banking operations. They do not have a full-fledged branch network there. Then how long will you stay in Korea? I came here for a due diligence at a company around 10 days. Taekyu was taken aback. Wow. 10 days. It seems quite long. At that, Taekyu quickly adjusted his expression and nodded. Oh no. I'm glad. So where are you staying, sister? Nuna Hyunju pointed above with her finger. Up here. The whole inspection team is staying together at this place. I looked around the hotel interiors and asked, isn't this place expensive? It's a 5-star hotel at the foot of Namsan Mountain. Even the cheapest room would cost over 500,000 won per night, right? Hyunju Nuna responded as if it were inconsequential. It's the company's expense anyway. Indeed, things are different at a global IB. Beep. The phone on the table vibrated. Just a moment. Hyunju Nuna took the phone and stood up from her seat. It took a while before she returned to her seat. Is there a problem? It's nothing. It's about the OPEC meeting schedule. OPEC, huh? Taekyu quickly pretended to know. Isn't OPEC short for oil factory? Even if he didn't know anything else, he should know that factory start with an F. It's a gathering of oil-producing countries, right? Hyunju Nuna nodded her head. It's the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. The OPEC meeting results are scheduled to be announced the day after tomorrow. And then it happened. Something appeared before my eyes like a hologram. What on earth? Why am I seeing this again? Hey, what's wrong? I snapped out of it at Taekyu's words. The hologram that was right in front of me just moments ago disappeared as if it were a lie. Hyunju Nuna looked at me with a worried expression. Are you okay? Oh, I was lost in thought for a moment. I brushed it off vaguely, but Taekyu seemed to catch on, giving me a meaningful look. Ignoring that look, I asked Hyunju Nuna, what kind of meeting is OPEC having? They are currently gathered in Kuwait for a cutback meeting. A cutback. I was taken aback by those words. Just now I saw it, didn't I? OPEC is an acronym for the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. It is a permanent intergovernmental organization, created at the Baghdad Conference in September 1960 by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Currently it has 13 members. Algeria, Angola, UAE, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Republic of Congo, Libya, Nigeria, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea. Despite strong opposition from the US, Saudi Arabia, along with other Arab and non-Arab oil producers, formed the Organization of Petroleum-Producing Countries to get the best price possible from major oil corporations. Originally, Arab nations advocated for Beirut or Baghdad to be the headquarters of the OPEC, but under strong objections from Venezuela, based on neutral grounds, Geneva in Switzerland was chosen. Due to Switzerland not extending diplomatic assurances, the headquarters of OPEC was shifted to Vienna, Austria on September 1, 1965. By the early 1970s, OPEC's membership accounted for more than half of worldwide oil production. OPEC plays a crucial role in shaping the oil market and ensuring stability in oil prices.